Hey guys, Blake here. I am actually in California right now. I'm enjoying a leadership conference at a place called Bethel Church. If you guys are familiar with Kim Walker, she leads worship there. Pastor Bill Johnson. It's awesome. Made some incredible connections. It's legit. But I want to go quickly over the illustration that we're doing this week in Fuel Groups. A lot of you have seen it before, so this is nothing new. But especially some of our coaches and some of our student leaders, you guys have never seen this illustration before. But basically, the main point we're trying to make this week is that sex has a purpose and that God thinks it's good. Both, if you think the opposite of those things, then it really has a negative impact on your life. For example, if you don't think that God thinks sex is good, then you think that your sexuality is something that He's ashamed of, and therefore, like anytime you are attracted to somebody or anything like that, then you think that there's shame and condemnation on you. If you don't think sex has a purpose, then you use it loosely, which can really be negative in the end, obviously, because God's created our sexuality as one of the most powerful things that we can really do with our physical bodies. And so, let's go over this illustration real quick. What you're going to need is four pieces of duct tape. Four. I'm filming this on my new iPhone, and I'm very excited. So you need four pieces of duct tape. And out of those four, you're going to take two of them, and you're going to make sure that they're very clean. There's no debris on it. And then you want to take the other two pieces of duct tape, and you want to put debris on them. So maybe go in the backyard, put dirt on them, something like that. But the main point is that you want it so that they're not sticky. When you begin talking about sex, you talk about how God created our sexuality to be like a bond between two people. And that when people do things God's way, they get into a committed relationship. And really, God's created sex as a tool that makes that relationship so much stronger. And then go ahead and take your two sticky pieces of duct tape and combine them together. And then talk about how this is a really strong bond. It's very hard to pull it apart. Even if you begin pulling apart the two different pieces, what will end up happening is you'll have one piece get stuck to the other, and it kind of is this fractured type of thing. And that's what happens when we try and pull apart a relationship that's been bonded together by sex. It really leaves us fragmented in the end. Now remember, this whole entire time, the message of God's grace supersedes everything that I'm saying. Like, God's grace comes in, redeems, restores. David said this. He said, God, create in me, renew in me, and restore in me a pure heart and a new one. So God's grace is good, but there's obviously a different type of responsibility that someone who knows the truth about sexuality, they have a different responsibility of what they do with that knowledge than someone who didn't necessarily understand God's view of it or what His plan was for their life. He looks at those situations two totally different ways. And so make sure your students know that, like, if you've come into this place and you haven't really used your sexuality wisely, there's no judgment. I mean, there's no condemnation. There's no shame in that regard. God just has a love, and He wants to create and renew and restore in you. But say you do know. For example, me as a leader, I know the ways of God. I've tasted and I've seen. If I go now and use my sexuality improperly, there's a different type of judgment's kind of like the word I'm looking for, but you know what I'm saying. There's a different type of responsibility that I carry because I know the truth. And so what we want to do then with the next two pieces of duct tape, the ones that are got debris on them, you talk about this is what happens when people enter marriage and they haven't used their sexuality God's way. There's something that God's created for them to be a really strong bond creator that has lost its stickiness. And again, we talk about how God can renew and restore that. But this is what He's given. It has a purpose, and it's good. I love that 1 Corinthians verse that we read in our group today, because it is a scripture that I am praying over my marriage, if I could be goofy enough, that we could be that biblical in that. And I'm not married yet, but I'm just praying for it for a future time. That Lord, that we would be so in love, that we wouldn't ever take steps away from intimacy because You've called us to be there all the time. So I hope that blesses you guys. And this illustration, it really makes a point, and it's really tangible and easy for people to see. So God bless you guys. I'm praying for your groups, and I'll see you guys Sunday.